Hey guys, it's Miguel from the Garage Heroes, and today we're talking about the true protagonist of Season 2, Garou, also known as the Hero Hunter. Alright, so today we'll be covering everything in Garou's history as of the release of this video. This video is going to be split into two parts, with part 2 covering the webcomic. Today we'll be looking at the anime and the manga. If you find that the animation this season has been making your eyes bleed just a little bit, then you might want to skip to the time that I have on screen so that you can get right to the stuff from the manga. I'm not going to have like every single page he's ever been in and every single second of every single frame of every fight that he's been in, but if you guys are into that, I guess you could just leave it in the comments and we'll look into it. Maybe we'll do something like that in the future, who knows. Also, keep in mind, this is going to focus solely on Garou, so there's only going to be like minor spoilers for everything else in One Punch Man. But yeah, spoilers for One Punch Man Season 2, the manga, and the webcomic. Garou was an average kid, except that he got bullied by shadows in his school. He got taken in by martial arts master Silverfang. He later rebels against Silverfang and leaves. Shows up at the Hero Association just asking for a fight. Beats up this magician. Turns this guy's arm into jerky. Lets the association know he'll be back. Beats up a random vegetarian in an alleyway, runs into Moomin Rider. Vegetarian guy from earlier comes back with backup. Doesn't end well. S-Class Hero Tank Top Master shows up and he gets really excited. Wow, that is definitely some of the best animation we got this season. Team Rocket's blasting off again. Moomin Rider takes one for Garou. Garou uses martial arts to literally turn things around. Makes sure to beat up everybody else, including another of Silverfang's disciples named Charanko. Beats on some minor heroes, makes a real friend in Tario, a kid who also gets bullied, who happens to have a very useful hero guide. He runs into Eminem, who almost pokes his eye out and actually takes a chunk of his leg off. Luigi shows up with a sword but gets promptly beat up. Garou runs into Saitama and makes his move, but it doesn't really work out too well for him. Garou runs into Metal Bat, they fight, it's cool, he kicks a tornado, he starts slapping a tornado as well. Then he takes out Metal Bat. Sisterly Love saves Metal Bat, but this kind of turns off Garou, who's not into that kind of play. Monster approves of Garou. Monster disapproves of Garou. Garou strikes down any complaints. Big Bird insists he comes in peace and gives Garou some drugs. Successfully avoids the cops. Garou gets into a fight with a dog with sick moves. Garou leaves with his tail between his legs. At least he had fun. He sees King and Saitama and decides to go and take his shot at King, but fails and gets put into a wall. Is it just me, or does he sound like a hungover person here? Back outside, he runs into a homeless man, but he doesn't have any change, so he feels guilty and decides to leave. In the woods, Tario gets bullied into going into a shed in which Garou happens to be resting. Garou gets intercepted by the village people rangers. Tario holds it down with some knowledge. This happens. Garou kinda turns into Tarzan and starts doing all sorts of cool tricks. He gets poisoned by the Blue Ranger. Gohan dies. This guy dies. He manhandles some bullets to protect Tario. This guy's dead. Tario seemingly realizes how much of a god Garou is, and so he just kind of like runs out of there. Garou takes a sec to relax a bit. Genos doesn't really care though, so he gets there just to make annoying machine sounds. They make all sorts of scary faces and cool moves at each other. This happens. Garou tries, but fails to become a Super Saiyan. The monsters try to help, but there's not much they can do against like this guy, and he brought his brother, and he can do this. Garou's cranky from not sleeping, so he tries to turn Super Saiyan again, and he gets close this time, but still doesn't quite get there. Go, Big Bird! Use Whirlwind! A Unlike Genos, Big Bird is generous, so he makes himself a target so that Genos can go and hit him real easy. But a centipede kind of gets in the way. Garo's super salty, but also super tired, so he passes out, and that's the end of Garo in Season 2. So we pick up with Garou waking up in the Monster Association. He gets fresh bandages, change clothes, and he easily busts out of his cell. It's just as you'd expect. He makes his way wondering about the fate of Silverfang, his old mentor. He stumbles onto a meeting by this Monster Association, and he gets a bit of an ultimatum from Lord Orochi, who asks him to bring him the head of a hero. Any hero will do. Seeming not very interested, Garou just casually walks out of the Monster Association, beats on some local protesters who had a bone to pick with him for some reason. Some very stupid thugs that can't seem to figure out that somebody wearing spandex and having a pink eye and orange hair probably wants to murder you one way or another. In true shonen fashion, Garou orders the entire menu of a restaurant. He gives the proposition from earlier a little bit more thought, and he runs into Tario, who's seemingly getting bullied for surviving Garou? Garou seemingly not having any of it though, so he shoos them away and has some feel-good moments with Tario, and then Saitama shows up because he saw Garou skipping on the bill earlier. Garou is not too impressed with the fact he gets off with only a warning though. It feels like he's being underestimated, so he walks up to Saitama and of course gets immediately put down. After waking up and wondering what hit him, he gets intercepted by two members of the Monster Association who saw him be kind from Tario and save people from bullying, which isn't very monster-like. Taro scares shitless, but Garou gives him one of those real nice anime inspirational speeches, and they have a little bit of another bonding moment. Tario realizes that he can't just rely on others, he has to go ahead and do things for himself. These guys aren't amateur monsters from Power Rangers though, so they don't let him finish the conversation and quickly capture Tario. They gang up on Garou and they turn him into mincemeat and then sort of leave him for dead while they take the kid. He wakes up later to find out the kid is not there, so he goes out to get his little buddy, and all while looking really badass. Fast forward and Tario's about to get his head torn off or something, and Garou steps in, saves him, defeats the monster, gives him a real nice deck to the face. In the hallways, he starts eating the monsters that he's running into, to the dismay of Tario. But you know, they run into some kind of hell dog that's like really cool, but not very smart, so they're able to just kind of get away from it. And some other normal monsters that aren't a big deal, but we get to see Garou using some of the techniques he's learned along the way. Garou also takes the opportunity to brag a little bit. The Hell Dog comes back about to fire a huge beam that Garou realizes he can't take, so he uses the techniques of Master Bomb, who he fought against earlier, to actually drill a hole in the wall and get himself and Tario back to safety. He reminds Tario that he should kind of use those legs he's got to run the hell away. He gets blasted straight on with the full power of this dog. Garou survives though, and he's not too happy. He gets some high ground and decides that he's gonna give this dog some discipline, so he decides to impart it himself, heading down and giving him a punch straight to the head, giving him some direct damage, but that doesn't quite do it, and he gets full blasted again at point blank. He gets blasted out of the room into the room of Executive Gyoro-Gyoro, who is actually the real leader of this whole operation, and tells Garou that really what he's after is making a real powerful monster stronger than King Orochi. And what he's been doing this whole time is actually trying to breed Garou that way to become the strongest monster, the king of monsters. Gyoro-Gyoro tries to use his psychic powers to immobilize and hurt Garou, but in true Garou fashion, he just seems to be getting stronger with everything that gets thrown at him. So King Orochi jumps into the fray, they step into a larger battlefield, and we see a little bit of what he can do. Stabbing him straight in the stomach, knocking him out for good this time, except not. He actually comes back with a hole in his chest and decides that he's still got fuel left in him. He does his best to move around and sort of dodge away all the attacks from King Orochi, but it's hard considering he's got all these tentacles that are really flexible and can attack him from all these angles. So he just decides that the only way he can win is by stepping straight into Orochi's space and tries to deck him straight in the face, but that also doesn't work very well. And Orochi just keeps showing us what a monstrous beast he is. He blasts Garou with everything he has, once and again, and punches him again, to the point where Garou almost seems like he's turning like charcoal black. First time I saw this, I actually thought he was just going further into his monsterization, but it turns out that he's actually just dirty and burnt here. He uses the best he's got against Orochi. Orochi shows Garou that he can actually copy his martial arts, giving the odds yet another tip in the scale of Orochi. Garou nonetheless goes for it. Orochi goes for it as well. Epic, and Garou's dead. Garou is super dead. The end. I'm just kidding. I'm sure you already picked up on the pattern. He always gets back up. So come and join me on part 2 of this video where I cover the webcomic.